The boys are back at BMO Field after an emotional Wednesday night in Guadalajara. It's MLS action as the Chicago Fire roll into town. Gareth, Terry, Dunfield with you for a Toronto FC match preview. I'm still coming down the highs and lows from Wednesday night against Chivas in the CONCACAF Champions League. Toronto FC put in so much work, a phenomenal performance in what was a 2-1 victory, but end up losing in penalties and falling short of their goal of winning the CONCACAF Champions League. The good news for me, Terry, is they're right back at it. There's really no time to spare. BMO Field Saturday, you want to just get back on the field, don't you?
I think so. I think you want to get back out on the pitch and play and get that sort of loss out of your system. It was a big-time performance, and it was an incredible journey over the CONCACAF Champions League. But I think the boys will get a big reception from the crowd for the effort and how well they played in the CONCACAF Champions League. I think that'll help. It won't be easy, though. The squad's a little bit beat up, but I'm sure they can push forward.
There's no point guessing what the starting 11 may be. Greg Vanney always has a trick or two up his sleeve, but it is appropriate to bring up that really the MLS season starts now. The predominant focus has been on the Champions League. It shifts to MLS play. Through 5 matches played, just 3 points for Toronto FC. But I think it's worthwhile to look back to last year, Terry. Through 6 league games played, Toronto FC only had 7 points. And that went on to be the best season in MLS history. So really the season starts now, doesn't it?
In MLS play, yeah, I think the priority so far has been on the CONCACAF Champions League. And I think the group, albeit a little bit banged up, is able to adapt, find ways to win. And it was a tough start to the season last year, 4 draws, a win and a loss. And the team went on to win a treble, set a record points total. So I don't think there's any panic stations down in that changing room right now.
No, and what coincided with Toronto FC's turnaround last year was a visit by the Chicago Fire to Toronto. At that point, Chicago was top the table. They were flying out there on the field, and Toronto FC served them up a 3-1 loss. Sebastian Giovinco scored 2 goals on the night, and really that's what kick-started Toronto FC's season.
Yeah, that was billed as a big high-profile game, big money-spending team. Schweinsteiger came into town, and TFC really stuffed Chicago on the day, and I thought that was a springboard for TFC to kick on.
Now, Toronto FC obviously have requisite depth. It's a matter of who's fit coming out of Wednesday night's match, who can play and who can't play. With that being said, the Chicago Fire have just been sitting, waiting. They're coming off a big win over the New York Red Bulls. 2-1 was the final in that match. Do you rate the Chicago Fire team, who thus far only has 5 points on the season, Terry?
They've played different ways. I think it's a good team, a dangerous team. They're the first team to win at Rembo Arena this season. Katai scored a wonder goal. Nikolic has 5 and 6. He's continued where he left off last year. The striker had 24 last season. A real poacher. He's got good movement, and if something drops to him, he'll stick it away. He needs to be watched. Schweinsteiger's been an interesting piece for them. He started playing higher up the pitch as a 10. He's lost that little bit of mobility, so the Chicago Fire are trying to find how they can get the best out of him. And for TFC fans that have been with the club for a little while, it's a little bit like Torsten Frings right now. He's dropped deep. He's sitting in a back 3 in that sweeper role. He's got a great range of passing, but he can be beat. Ibra scored a good goal against him, just pulling off his shoulder. So that's how they're playing right now. Young Adams in the middle of the park. They've got high hopes for him as well.
Chicago, a good opponent, but it's about Toronto FC taking care of their own business. And what better team to play against when you want to get on flames yourself than a team named the Chicago Fire? It's a doubleheader at BMO Field on Saturday. It all starts with Toronto FC and the Fire for a 3 p.m. kickoff. Then TFC 2 against Red Bulls 2 at BMO Field as well. Hey, if you're going to come for 1, you might as well come for 2. Gareth and Terry Dunfield with you. Toronto FC Match Day back alive at BMO Field this Saturday.